Joe Benjamin, and I'm the founder and CEO of Young Startup Ventures. This year's event is attended by more than 500 VCs, corporate VCs, angel investors, and CEOs of early stage and emerging growth companies. And nearly 90 companies will be presenting today. The summit also brings together legal, accounting, consulting, and investment banking professionals who so skillfully facilitate introductions and help venture firms and entrepreneurs fulfill their missions. I encourage you all to meet these professionals who are here today. In fact, for a brief 2 minutes, let's begin that process right now. Would each of you take a brief moment to introduce yourself to the person to your right and to your left and exchange some business cards as I pause for a moment to thank our sponsors.
Nobody to my right. How about you?
I'm sorry, can you switch cards again? I just want to get the exchange. It could be any card.
That's what we are.
Thanks. Would you guys mind switching cards again? I just want to get the exchange. Cool. It's all smoke and mirrors. Thank you.
A hand for their efforts in support of today's event. We're all here to find companies to invest in, to raise capital, to meet professionals who can help us complete transactions. I wish all of you, as I always do, good deal making today and high exit multiples tomorrow. In a few minutes, we'll begin our first panel, but briefly I want to go through the agenda with you. At 10 a.m. sharp, the first group of companies will be presenting. There are 4 tracks for company presentations today. Life sciences companies will be presenting throughout the day in room number 1, which is to my left. Technology companies will be presenting throughout the day in this room. Clean tech companies will be presenting in room number 6 behind you. And edtech companies will be presenting in room number 3, again to the left. Following the first round of company presentations, there'll be a break for networking in the sponsors lounge, followed by round 2 of company presentations, which will begin promptly at 11:40 a.m. We then have an exciting fireside chat featuring Brian Cohen, chairman of New York Angels, and author of What Every Angel Investor Wants You to Know. An insider reveals how to raise money for your billion-dollar idea, and that's going to be moderated by Stephen Davis of Goodwin Procter, and that's at 12:50 in this room, which will run approximately for about 15-20 minutes. Lunch will be served at 1 in the sponsors lounge, as well as in rooms number 2 and 3, and will be followed by round 3 of company presentations at 2 p.m. At 3:10, we'll then break out for 3 concurrent panels, one titled The Venture Roadmap here in room number 4. Our Green Dollars for Clean Tech Deals panel is going to be in room number 1, and our EdTech VC panel report card on EdTech innovation and funding in room number 6. Those will then be followed by an additional networking session. At 4:30, we'll break out for an additional 2 concurrent panels titled Where's the Exit? Here in this room, and Corporate Venture Capital panel in room number 1. We'll then have everyone join us here in room number 4, where we look forward to raffling off 3 nano iPods, as well as announcing the top 4 presenters with the Best Presenter Award chosen by our VC judges for each of the tracks. I ask everyone who's presenting, as well as those that are judging, to please be on time so that we can just remain on schedule throughout the entire day. There'll be judging forums towards the front of the room when we start. So if you don't have a judging forum, please ask the person by the laptop in the front of the room. With that, I'd like to introduce Stephen Davis, who's chair of the New York Venture Summit, longtime supporter of the New York Venture Summit and Young Startup Ventures. Stephen is the chair also of the Technology Companies Practice Group in New York at Goodwin Procter and is a member of the Technology life sciences, and clean technologies practice groups. He has extensive experience in several areas of corporate practice with a focus on venture capital, corporate finance and securities, mergers and acquisitions, private equity, and corporate counseling. Stephen joined Goodwin Procter in 2008. He's represented clients in transactions ranging from startup financings to billion-dollar plus transactions, and has counseled companies in diverse industries such as software, internet applications and services, ad tech, fintech, fashion tech, wireless technologies, biotech, medical devices, energy, and clean tech. He has also represented issuers, investors, and underwriters in numerous initial public offerings, secondary offerings, spin-off transactions, joint ventures, and other strategic alliances and mergers and acquisitions. In addition, he acts as outside general counsel and board advisor to numerous public and private companies. Stephen is a frequent speaker and panelist at industry and legal conferences, and has written for and been quoted in various publications. Prior to joining Goodwin Procter, Stephen was a shareholder in the New York office of Heller Ehrman, where he was co-chair of its corporate venture law practice and chair of the New York business law practice. Stephen is a dear friend, extremely well connected in New York, longtime supporter of startups all around. Actually, our first sponsor for any of the conferences that Young Startup has produced. So we have a long-standing relationship. Please join me in thanking him for his support of today's program. And many years.
Thank you. And I've said this, I think going back 14 years, that no community can have a successful venture community unless the constituencies of the venture ecosystem, the entrepreneurs and the investors can get together and share whether it's knowledge, share whether it's contacts, share whether it's doing business together. And that's what Joe has done over the last 14 years. He has created forums where all elements of the venture community can get together, can connect, and can do business together. Take a look around. Over 600 attendees today from across the country and outside the U.S. Over 75 investors who come from coast to coast and internationally, from covering all aspects and segments of venture, from early stage angel investor to very late stage investing. We have entrepreneurs from every continent but one actually presenting today. North America, South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, Australia. The only one we're missing is Antarctica. And Joe has promised me he's working with a group of penguins who have making ice cubes, and they'll be here next year. This actually should be called, the National and International Venture Summit. I'm just absolutely blown away by where everyone is coming from. Again, both investors and entrepreneurs. It's just fabulous. Secondly, I'd like to thank the sponsors here. We can't do these events and have this many people and have these programs, without the support of all the sponsors. Investors as well. I'd like to thank all the investors. You mentioned 75 just presenting and judging today, and that doesn't include those who are in the audience. So I would like to welcome everybody to the 2014 New York Venture Summit. I know for those who've coming from out of town, it has been absolutely beautiful weather in New York. I'm telling you, it's as nice as it is out there today, it's better inside. It's better inside. We'll have a great time. This is our 14th annual one, and it's by far the most successful venture summit we've had. And let me tell you, there is no venture event in New York that has run longer than the New York Venture Summit. And there is no venture event in New York that has grown more than this summit. And a lot of that is Joe and his efforts. And thank you, Joe. For the past 13 years, I would kick off this event with venture statistics from the prior year, and usually it was a pretty good job because 11 out of the last 12 years were pretty solid. 2013 was no exception, and despite a backdrop of daily bad news, whether it's geopolitical, whether it's debt problems, whether it's our own sticky unemployment issues, international geopolitical problems, over $29 billion was invested in nearly 4,000 companies last year. And that was just institutional funding. And as good as 2013 was, the first quarter of 2014 was even better. First quarter 2014 had investment of nearly $10 billion, and if you annualize that, that's close to $40 billion, which would be the largest amount since the dot-com era. That, again, is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the institutional angel investment has expanded and is reported to be over $23 billion in 2013 in over 55,000 companies. And while there are approximately 475 active venture funds in the United States, there are over 300,000 angel investors in the U.S., and the number of friends and family investors is large. And if people think that angels are only good for doing $100,000 rounds, last night I was talking to one of the companies who was presenting today. They've raised $6.5 million angel money alone, so you can get there. Angels are much easier to find too, than they used to be, as well as venture finance, venture capital firms. There are estimated to be over 350 organized venture networks in the U.S., and those are multiplying annually. And, just in the past year, our office has hosted events: the New York Angels, the Harvard Business School Angels, and the Georgetown Angels. So not only are the investment dollars and the numbers of deals and numbers of companies that are getting financing really increasing, and frankly, compared to 5 years ago, staggering. The dynamics are trending towards increasing the universe of investors and startups and offering more opportunities for startups to raise money. Incubators and accelerators are hatching up everywhere. Crowdfunding platforms are out there covering broad industries, groups, as well as specific industries. All of the speakers that list the judges. With this, you can find out easily what they're interested in, what they're investing in, what they want to invest in. All of the panelists, all these investors, they're here to meet you. They're here to meet you. So I challenge all of you, all the entrepreneurs who are here, all those who are either fundraising or are looking to fundraise in the next several months. This is your opportunity to connect. Remember your 30-second elevator pitch. And your goal today is to make contact, to make connections, and have someone say, let's get in touch later this week. Here's my contact information. Let's continue the conversation. So my challenge, there's my email address. I would like everybody here who's going to be an entrepreneur who's looking for financing to email me after this conference, after the summit today. I'd like to hear from you. How many investors did you connect with? How many are you going to have future contact with? And I promise I will reply to everybody. If all 700 of you send it all on the same day, it may not be the same day, but I promise I will get back to you. So that's your goal today, is to connect. We have a fabulous panel this morning, the future, what's next in venture, covering a broad range of venture and covering a broad range of investment. As I mentioned, we have investors from tech, the life science, the clean tech, New York, and international. I'd like to introduce the moderator of the first panel, John Egan. John was up here just a few minutes ago. John's a good friend and co-chair of our tech practice nationally at Goodwin Procter. John's practice involves early and late stage, just like the description of Goodwin's practice. Growth, it's early, late stage ventures, growth equity, leverage recaps, IPOs, mergers and acquisitions, joint ventures, strategic licensing, and general representation across the board of tech, life science, and clean tech. John is my co-chair of our technology companies practice. He is the best tech lawyer I know, and it hurts me to say that because the best I can ever hope to be is number 2. So please join me in welcoming John Egan, moderator of the first panel.
Our title sponsor, Goodwin Procter. Our diamond sponsors, Shepherd Mullen. Platinum sponsors, Dell and Kelly Dry. Our coaching sponsor, Chadbourne and Park. Venture sponsors, Starvest Partners and Elevate Ventures. Our breakfast sponsor, Chugabo Marketing. Silver sponsors, Morgan Lewis, Shuffler, JHK. Our marketing solutions sponsor, Get Response. And printing sponsor, the Nuvo Group. In fact, I'd like to invite each of our sponsors to say a few brief words about their firms and welcome everyone. Starting off with John Egan from Goodwin Procter. John?
Thank you, Joe. Thanks everyone for coming here this morning. We are very proud to be a sponsor of the New York Venture Summit. My name is John Egan, and I'm the co-head of the Tech and Life Sciences practice at Goodwin Procter. For those of you who don't know us, we're a large national firm with a very significant focus on tech, life sciences, and clean tech. We also have a number of specialists in the areas that are critical to companies in these spaces: IP, tax, regulatory. We represent over 100 public tech and life science companies and over 300 venture investors and private equity investors in the space. We also work with most of the leading investment banks. Over the last year, in 2013, we completed 18 life sciences and tech IPOs. We have more than that on track this year for market sold out to complete. And for the last couple of years, we were ranked first in the country in terms of venture-backed exits for life science and tech companies. But despite all of that, I think the thing that we're most focused on is creations of startups, because that's where it all begins. And we do what we can as a large law firm to help startups. We founded a website called Founders Workbench, which is a resource for entrepreneurs, provides free legal advice, document formation, third-party advice on areas of importance. We have a number of innovative, fee deferral and discount programs for early-stage companies to help them husband their cash, and are very, very focused on helping entrepreneurs connect with VCs and see their dreams take off. And that's why we're really thrilled to be here, and that's why we've been a longtime supporter of Joe and the Young Startup Network, because of the work they do connecting entrepreneurs and venture capitalists and allowing this dialogue to happen. So thank you again for being here. We're very thrilled.
Thank you, John. Sean Lusky from Shepherd Mullen.
Thanks, Joe. Wow. So we like Goodwin are very proud sponsors of the Young Startup Summit. We think this is probably the premier event in New York for this ecosystem. My name is Sean Glusky. I am a partner and the co-practice group leader of the corporate group at Shepherd Mullen, which is a 600-lawyer global firm. We do pretty much everything from antitrust to white collar, but we have a particular focus on the technology companies, life sciences companies, and the investors who fund them. My practice focuses in two areas, mostly representing either the investors deploying capital into these companies, as well as representing the entrepreneurs who are starting the companies and getting funded, and then moving on to later stage investments and then exits. And again, really proud to be here and proud to support Young Startup Ventures, and I will be moderating the 3 o'clock panel on the venture capital roadmap, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks.
Is Corey Kosak from Dell here? Corey? Okay, Amelia Ragosa from Morgan Lewis. Anyone else from Morgan Lewis? Okay, Fred Jaffe from the Nuvo Group. Are you here, Fred? Okay. Ruben Garcia from Chugabo Marketing asked me just to announce that they'll be raffling off an iPad, so if you are interested in that, you can visit them by their table. Stephen Morgan from Elevate Ventures, are you here? Say a couple words, Stephen. Okay, you'll hear him speak later on. And again, thank you to Starvest Partners and Erez Kahane from GKH Law.
Starting to bring operational talent more into venture firms. And the reason is because it is competitive. You really need to create differentiation, because at the end of the day, wealth creation isn't about the best terms you set. It's really about the companies and the teams you invest in and what you can do with it. So, I don't know if it relates as much to this, but just wanted to, if we're thinking about where the industry's going, I think you're going to see a much greater operational focus from your financial partners.
That's a great point. John?
Just keying off your comments on the operational side of things, I think it's really important. I'm an operator by background, and our team has a mixed background that complements each other. You mentioned what we look for in addressable market, typically around 500 million and up. But what I'd encourage